Who was the mysterious woman who was at Moses' side during one of the most critical moments in biblical history? Zipporah, Moses' first wife, is often overlooked, but her influence and role are profound and enigmatic. She was not only the wife of the man who led the Israelites to freedom, but she played a crucial role in their spiritual journey. And the most intriguing, its story contains one of the most mysterious and controversial episodes in the Old Testament. Few know the details of this woman of Midianite origin, who saved Moses from certain death and faced cultural barriers in the name of love and faith. His life is shrouded in mystery, but the lessons we can learn from it are timeless. Zipporah was a strong, decisive woman, and capable of quick actions in moments of great tension. And don't think that your story is just another old biblical story. The decisions she made, the barriers she faced, and the courage she demonstrated teach us valuable lessons to this day. Now you're about to dive deep into this incredible story, where Zipporah takes on a whole new meaning. Get ready to discover what most don't know, and to see how this woman shaped the future of Moses and an entire people. Let's explore every detail, every nuance, and understand what it really means to be part of such a great story. Zipporah, the daughter of Jethro, appears as a figure shrouded in mystery in biblical scriptures. Although she is not mentioned as much as Moses, Zipporah's importance goes beyond what meets the eye. When she joins Moses, it is not just as his wife, but as a companion who shares in his divine mission. Imagine a seemingly simple person becoming a key player in a movement that would change the history of a nation. This was Zipporah, a silent but essential presence at Moses' side. We often forget that behind great men there are women who play equally important roles, but who do not gain the spotlight. Zipporah was at Moses' side when he was given the most important task of his life, leading the people of Israel to freedom. But what many don't realize is that his presence brought balance, being an anchor in moments of uncertainty. Think of the supportive relationship between two people, where one offers quiet strength, while the other leads forcefully. Zipporah's role also reveals how women, despite being relegated to secondary positions in some traditions, have their indelible influence. She was at Moses' side, but she also played a crucial role in decisive moments. Maybe you know someone like this in your life, someone who, even without attracting attention, transforms everything around them. Zipporah, Moses' wife, was that person, always acting behind the scenes, ensuring that the mission moved forward. As we delve deeper into the story of Zipporah, we will understand that her origins and culture also shaped the man Moses became. But before we get to that point, it is essential to note how Zipporah's roots, as part of the Midianites, influenced both her destiny and that of Moses. Zipporah not only enters Moses' life as his wife, but she also brings with her a whole fascinating cultural heritage. It comes from the Midianites, a nomadic people with traditions very different from those of the Israelite people. His father, Jethro, was a priest of Midian, and this connection to the clan brought new elements to Moses' own development. Think about the influence that different cultures can have on our lives. Zipporah, with her Midianite roots, added a new perspective to Moses' life, something that would be crucial in his journey. The Midianites were descendants of Abraham, and this created a special bond with the Israelites, even though their paths were different. It is interesting to observe how Zipporah carried this ancestral connection, even though she was from a people with different customs. She was a bridge between two worlds, and this made her an extremely relevant figure at a time when Moses needed different visions to lead his people. Maybe you felt something similar. when people with different stories influence your life in a positive way. This cultural mix between Zipporah and Moses is a clear example of how external influences can shape even the most powerful leaders. Moses, coming from an Egyptian education, began to live with Midianite traditions when he married Zipporah. This contact with another culture brought teachings that Moses would use in his mission to free Israel. Likewise, by embracing different traditions and learnings, we can grow and become more complete people. As Moses' journey progresses, we will see that Zipporah, despite being discreet, was present at crucial moments. But before that, it is essential to know the first meeting between Moses and Zipporah, a meeting that would change their destiny forever. In a patriarchal society where men dominated historical records, women like Zipporah played roles of great importance, even if they were often relegated to the background. Moses' first wife was one of those women whose impact went beyond the silence around her. It directly influenced crucial moments in the life of Moses and, consequently, the history of Israel. Think about the female figures in your life. How often do their actions, however discreet, shape situations in ways that we only realize later? Zipporah stands out among the few women mentioned in the biblical narrative. Her role goes beyond simply being Moses' wife. His actions in moments of urgency, as we will see later, showed his courage and ability to make quick and difficult decisions. It is curious how, even at a time when the female voice was less heard, Zipporah stood up as an example of strength. If you reflect on history, you will see how many women, like Zipporah, work behind the scenes, altering the course of important events. This feminine force in Zipporah leads us to think about the importance of women's role, especially in contexts where the male presence is predominant. Even today, in various spheres, we still see the transformative impact of women who, like Zipporah, change the landscape without necessarily being in the spotlight. How many times have you come across women who silently do the work necessary to make everything work? Zipporah is an eternal example of this influence. This discreet influence of Zipporah would be even more evident when Moses found a new home, a new family, and a new purpose in Midian. And it is precisely at this point that destiny would unite them definitively. The meeting between Zipporah and Moses was the starting point for a significant change in their lives. It all started in a simple, everyday place, a well. Moses, fleeing Egypt, found himself at that location when Jethro's daughters, including Zipporah, arrived to water the flock. But that meeting wasn't just the beginning of a relationship. It was the beginning of a journey of transformation for Moses, who, in Zipporah and his family, found not only shelter, but a new meaning for his life. How many times in life do we find our purpose in unexpected situations, like a simple encounter? The hospitality of Jethro, Zipporah's father, opened doors for Moses. He who had been an Egyptian prince and now saw himself as a fugitive, discovered a new path in Midian. Zipporah, the mysterious wife of Moses, became more than just a companion. It represented a connection with a new phase of his life. This encounter at the well is a reminder of how the most ordinary moments can turn into extraordinary events. Think about encounters that changed your life in ways you never imagined. Zipporah became a crucial link for Moses, offering him not just a family, but a bond with the Midianite people, and ultimately, a new identity. She was not just a spectator in this story. Alongside her father, she ensured that Moses found the peace and stability he needed to prepare for his mission. This encounter reinforces the idea that people often come into our lives to guide us when we are lost. Zipporah did this for Moses, leading him in a new direction. As we follow the story of Zipporah and Moses, we come across a crucial event that clearly shows how decisive this woman could be. The circumcision episode reveals the depth of his spiritual understanding and his courage in moments of crisis. One of the most intriguing moments in the lives of Zipporah and Moses occurs during their journey back to Egypt. One night, something unexpected happens. God appears and threatens to take Moses' life. It is then that Zipporah takes surprising and decisive action. Without hesitation, she takes a sharp stone and circumcises their son, touching Moses' feet with her foreskin. This immediate act saves Moses' life, showing that Zipporah was not just an ordinary wife. She understood the depth of traditions and knew how to act in a critical moment. This episode may seem disconcerting to us today, but it is loaded with symbolism. Circumcision, a rite that sealed the covenant between God and the people of Israel, was something that Zipporah deeply understood. Your action at that moment shows not only your faith, but also your spiritual wisdom. She was able to recognize that Moses' life was at risk due to a failure to perform this sacred ritual. It reminds us how, in times of crisis, those we love can make decisions that save us, even when we don't immediately understand their motivations. Zipporah appears at this moment not as a passive figure, but as someone who takes control of the situation. Many times in our own lives, we face situations where immediate and decisive action is necessary, and Zipporah teaches us the value of being prepared to act when the moment calls for it. His courage was what kept Moses alive to continue his mission, and his understanding of the divine covenant was what ensured he moved forward. It is impressive how this simple but meaningful action transformed the situation. However, this action by Zipporah also exposes the cultural tensions between her, a Midianite, and Moses, an Israelite. The next major event in Zipporah's life reveals how these cultural differences would impact her relationship with Moses and his family, especially the conflict with Moses' brothers. Zipporah, being a Midianite, always carried a foreign identity in the context of the life of Moses and the Israelite people. This identity would be put to the test in an event that reveals cultural and family tensions within the biblical narrative. When Moses returns to Egypt and later leads the Israelites through the desert, tension arises between Zipporah and Moses' brothers Miriam and Aaron. They openly question Moses' choice to marry a foreign woman, highlighting a latent conflict between cultures. This moment makes us reflect on the cultural barriers that often stand in the way of our relationships. What stands out here is the fact that Zipporah, despite her different origin, played a fundamental role in the life of Moses and the journey of the people of Israel. Miriam and Aaron's resistance, on the other hand, shows how prejudice and distrust can arise even among those closest to them. In our own lives, how often do we see cultural conflicts, even within our own families or social circles? These tensions can cause ruptures, but they can also be opportunities for growth and understanding if approached with wisdom and empathy. Central to this tension is the question of identity. Zipporah was not just the wife of Moses, but a woman with her own heritage, customs, and worldview. His presence challenged established norms, and this naturally generated discomfort. This type of conflict is common when different cultures meet, and the outcome of this biblical event is a powerful reminder of how God intervened in Zipporah's defense, punishing Miriam with leprosy. It was a severe lesson in the importance of not judging others by their origins. These cultural tensions between Zipporah and Moses' family lead us to reflect on the role of foreigners and the cultural barriers we still face in our current societies. By understanding this dynamic, we can see how differences can be a point of contention or an opportunity for mutual enrichment, depending on how we approach them. Throughout this journey, through the life of Zipporah, Moses' first wife, you have seen how this remarkable, often forgotten woman played pivotal roles that shaped not only her husband's story, but also that of an entire people. Their courage, determination, and ability to navigate a world filled with prejudice and cultural challenges teaches us that, regardless of our circumstances, each of us has the power to make a difference. Zipporah's story invites us to reflect on our own lives and consider, how are we dealing with the barriers we encounter? And if Zipporah can face the challenges of a different culture and fight for her place in history, why can't we do the same in our everyday lives? What can you do today to overcome a cultural challenge or bias in your life? As you draw inspiration from Zipporah, you may find the strength to embrace your own differences and use them to your advantage. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to keep learning about fascinating stories like this. Together, we'll explore more about inspiring figures from history and how their lessons can be applied to our lives. And remember, history is not just about what happened, but also about what we can do with those lessons today.